Hey Monarchs! Today I want to talk about the first of the 10 components that act as the foundation for both my Feel Not Food workbook as well as my Love Yourself Lean emotional eating program. These are the 10 components that I used over 20 years ago to lose my 45 pounds, and the 10 components I've been using for the past 20 years to keep them off. And so that first component is getting in the right mindset and understanding that this journey is forever. And the word forever can freak out a lot of people. So I wanted to stop for a moment and talk about what that meant to me. And give you a little perspective, right? If you think about the journey you've been on so far, it's felt a lot like a roller coaster. You have picked a specific diet and you've gone on the diet. And so if you're going to go on something, what happens next? You go off of it. And so you experience success while you're on it, but then whatever behaviors you were doing on that diet, there was an end date. And so you stopped them, and then of course you regained your weight. And because you had such high levels of success, that made the failure feel so much more. And because we've probably done this a few times, the failures over and over again start pulling from your feelings of capability, your feelings of worthiness. You start associating yourself with failure, and it's just not fair. You're not a failure. You're just choosing a finite program, something that ends, and therefore putting yourself into a position of failure. So what we need to do is stop choosing extremes, stop extreme restrictions, stop extreme exercising, because those things aren't sustainable. If you live until you're 80 or 85, can you continue to eat and move like that consistently every week, despite changes in priorities? And the answer is probably not. And so we need to change how we eat and move to create sustainability, something that can happen for the duration of our lives, with of course some evolution, but a good foundation for us to start with. So that's the first thing that comes to mind with a forever journey, is there is no end date. So whatever we choose to do, it's gotta be with the intention of not stopping it when things get hard, not stopping it when we're stressed out, not stopping it when we no longer feel like it, not stopping it when the scale doesn't hit a specific number. So no end date is really the first idea with this being a forever journey. But the other one is understanding that in your forever journey, priorities are going to shift. When you are low in stress and you can focus on your diet and on your exercise, it is going to be super easy to be at your best weight, right? At my best weight in my journey, I got down to 103. And I know that sounds super low, but I'm 4'11", so that's actually a very normal weight for me. It's not even a low weight, it's a normal weight. But that is my leanest at 103. Well, when I had nothing else to do but focus on my food preparation, my food planning, my food eating, and my exercise, I was able to do that. But I have not stayed there for the past 20 years. My weight has gone up and down based on priority. 4 years ago when my father died and I was dealing with grief, and then we opened up a second business with the gym, weight wasn't my priority. I kept it in my top 5. I made sure I never lost sight of how important my health was to me, but it was no longer number 1. So my weight goes up to 108, 112, which is actually where my body feels its best. And so I went up. And then there will be times when I can reprioritize and I feel like focusing it again and it goes down. And maybe there are times I go up as high as 115. But in the last 20 years, it's not like I did this. What I did was keep health in the top 5 of my priority list. Sometimes it was number 1, sometimes it wasn't. And I gave myself permission for it not to be my number 1. Because once again, the ultimate goal is happiness and fulfillment in my life, right? Which means weight can't always be my top priority. It isn't what's going to necessarily make me happy. It's not necessarily going to keep me balanced or fulfilled. As my health and happiness can go together, but sometimes they need to be switching in priority. And for this to be a lifetime journey successfully, you have to be willing to give yourself permission for your weight to dip up and down. But do give yourself a little governor. I don't allow myself past a certain point. Once I hit that point, I'm like, okay, it's got to move up on my priority list. Otherwise, it's going to get out of control. And that's how I get to remain successful, even while going up and down a bit in my weight. So no end date, understanding what you have to choose is sustainable. 2, understanding that priorities are going to shift and giving yourself permission for that. 3 is understanding that effort is the name of the game in a forever journey, meaning there is no destination. You may have a goal weight in mind, but if things are going to shift because priorities are going to shift, that can't be your sole focus. And truly, you do not control what that scale says. You've been there before where you had a great food and movement week and the scale either stayed the same or went up, and you're like, what the hell? You don't control what the scale says. You only control what you put in your mouth and the type of movement that you do. So focus there. Focus on what you control. For example, 2 weeks ago, I was 7 pounds heavier than I am today. What the heck? And I felt it and I looked it and it was awful. You know what it was? Hormonal. There's only so much I can do about that. So I needed to stay in the game and understand that that number didn't matter, my effort did. Because if I'm doing the right thing, eating and movement-wise, that 7 pounds is not fat, which means it'll go away the moment everything aligns in my body. I just need to keep focusing on my effort. And when you're in a forever journey, that effort never ends. Once again, how it's prioritized may be different, but the effort's what matters. So stop focusing on a number on a scale. Stop focusing on a size of your pants. Focus on the effort it takes to hit that goal, understanding as long as you are consistent, you will hit it and you will be able to maintain it. And then the last piece I want to talk about is your energy. So many times our energy is focused on the scale. It is focused on a number. And we can't focus on our true feelings of wellness. How do you feel? Right? Like 103 is where I like how I look. 108 is how I feel my best. So when I was able to center my energy on myself, on my well-being, and on my ultimate happiness, I understood I really needed to stay around 108 versus constantly kicking my ass into that 103 zone. That, yeah, I looked leaner. I like that look. I couldn't be my happiest because it was so much effort to stay there. And it took away my ability to enjoy the rest of my life. And so understanding that your energy can't be focused on a number, on things that maybe just you made up, right? Like, who says 100 pounds is the best weight for a 4'11" person? Because that's what all the charts say I should be. Well, maybe, but I don't feel my best there. So that's not where I belong. If we could focus our energy on how we feel, do I feel energized today? Do I feel good in my body today? Does my body move easily today? Do I feel excited for my movement today? Do I feel excited for my food today? This is what I talk about with energy. Yes, food gives us the energy to do the movement we want to do, but I'm talking about alignment of energy, of are we supporting our success with our thoughts? Are we supporting our success with our words? And that is how we get our energy in alignment with what we actually want to achieve. And it allows us to experience lifelong success on our forever journey.